Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, or AAPIs, have served in the United States military in nearly every armed conflict since the founding of our nation. Yet, where are they in the pages of our history? By highlighting their stories, our nation becomes more whole in understanding the patriotism and impact of the AAPI community. The story goes all the way back to the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812, where Filipinos joined the U.S. Army in manning defensive batteries against the British. During the Civil War, our nation was divided over the issue of slavery. As an integral part of the American fabric, AAPIs fought on both sides of the Civil War, with Chinese Americans serving in both the Union and the Confederacy. In the face of discrimination under the Chinese Exclusion Act, Chinese Americans served their nation in the Mexican Expedition of 1916. As the world plunged into World War I, many Asian Americans joined the U.S. Army, including Bhagat Singh Thind, an Indian American of Sikh faith. He was loyal and very patriotic, yet he was denied citizenship by the U.S. Supreme Court. Then, in 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. As a result, President Roosevelt authorized the detainment of 120,000 Japanese Americans to incarceration camps. To fight against public distrust, 30,000 Nisei or second-generation Japanese Americans enlisted during World War II. The 100th Infantry Battalion and later the 442nd Regimental Combat Team remains the most decorated unit in U.S. military history.
You fought not only the enemy, but you fought prejudice, and you've won.
As a colony, the Philippines allied with America. The United States Armed Forces of the Far East enlisted nearly 250,000 Filipinos, a decisive move that helped win the Pacific Theater. For their valor, Filipinos were promised citizenship and military benefits, yet they couldn't claim them after passing of the Rescission Act. With the repeal of the Chinese Exclusion Act, 13,000 Chinese Americans enlisted to fight for their nation. The Women's Army Corps also recruited Chinese and Japanese Americans to support military intelligence efforts. Hazel Ying Lee broke gender and ethnic barriers as one of the first Chinese Americans in the Women Air Force Service pilots. Ultimately, the outstanding performance of segregated minority units like the Tuskegee Airmen, the Native American Code Talkers, and the famed Nisei Warriors led the Department of Defense to review its policies on minorities serving in the military. The reviews led to the gradual integration of the U.S. military. After World War II, a large number of AAPI recruits and combat veterans continued to serve with fervor. U.S. military bases in the Philippines recruited Filipinos. At one point, there were more Filipinos in the U.S. Navy than the Philippine Navy. In the Korean War, Major Kurt Chuen Lee and Colonel Young Ok Kim broke barriers of segregation by respectively becoming the first Marine officer of Chinese descent and first Korean American to lead the combat battalion. In the 1950s and 60s, AAPIs assumed greater roles and acceptance in American society and culture. Medal of Honor recipient and World War II hero Daniel K. Inouye was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives and later became a U.S. Senator. As the Vietnam War intensified, AAPI soldiers answered the call of duty, and some made the ultimate sacrifice. Like many Americans, AAPI soldiers, veterans, and civilians felt conflicted about this controversial and long-standing war. By the 1970s, a wave of Asian immigrants resulted in more enlistments in the U.S. Armed Services. With the passing of the United States Refugee Act, Vietnamese refugees were able to immigrate to the United States and enlist in the U.S. Armed Forces. A powerful reminder that immigrants built our nation through service. As we remember the tragic events of 9/11, we also honor the thousands of AAPIs, citizens and immigrants alike, who have answered the call to serve since that tragic day. Today, over 65,000 AAPIs serve in the United States military, reflecting their unparalleled contribution to America's national security. With a legacy of honor, their sense of patriotism is unwavering. They serve and respond to humanitarian crises, conflicts on distant shores, and natural disasters in communities. Our nation's strength truly rests in our diversity. As they answer the call to duty, we must answer ours. It's our duty to honor all heroes, past and present, by serving the unique needs of AAPI veterans, to give care to wounded warriors and provide access to quality health care and more. After all, our veterans have served to keep us safe. Now it's our turn to ensure that they are not left behind.